Yes. So guys, for today, you'll have to bear with me. So today we are going to try with the online editor because as I've said you, my personal system has crashed and my office, this is my official laptop. I cannot install C Sharp. I'm not having the uh, admin access for this. So anyway, the things are going to be the same. It's just that I'll be using the online editor for today. And from next class onwards, I'll be having proper ID set up on my system. So that's fine, right? Anybody have any doubt, any question before we start?
You can proceed.
Sure. Thank you so much. So today we are going to talk about data types primarily, data types for C Sharp. Okay, so how we are going to proceed is very simple. Uh, so we'll start with basic data types today. So basically from today onwards, we are starting with C Sharp. So from today till the end of before starting the Selenium part, we will continue the C Sharp. And as I've told you, in C Sharp, we'll be, covering the basic data type, operators, string class and object, oops concept, collections, and all those things. And we'll go one by one. Okay. So as I've said you, today I'll be starting with data types. So in C Sharp, just like Java or any other object-oriented programming language, in C Sharp also we have different type of data types. Okay. So what we can say is, just a minute. Okay. So in C Sharp also we have different type of data types. One is predefined and another one is user defined, which means that there are some data types which are predefined. Okay. And there are some data types which user can define. Okay. But before that, there is one more classification that we should talk about. So before that, I'll talk about the classification of data types in C Sharp. So one of the type of data type is value data type. The value data type where you can store different types of values. Like let's say a number, or let's say Boolean value, or let's say decimal type value, and so on. These type of different value you can store. There is one more type of data type which is referenced type data type. Reference type data type means, let's say class, interfaces that you will be creating. Then there is a string class in C Sharp. Then there is an object class in C Sharp. All these are different type of reference data type. Reference data type are those kind of data types where you cannot store values like, let's say, integer values or numeric values or decimal type of values or Boolean values. No, these are kind of reference data type. Reference data type means you are going to refer these data types, create objects sometimes, and sometimes other things. So primarily what I'm trying to say is, in reference data types, you are not going to store a simple numeric value or Boolean value or decimal type value. You will be creating kind of class, interface, or the pre-existing classes. All these are known as reference data type in C Sharp. Okay, reference data type. Any question in this? Anyone have any question?
Can we say pointer?
Yes, there is one more. It is just a pointer data type. This is one more type of data type in Java. Sorry, C#. Not in Java. In Java, there is no pointer. Pointer is also part of reference data type. Okay. Pointer is also a type of reference data type. And we are going to deal about this pointer data type in detail. So primarily in pointers, we will be talking about ampersand and asterisk. Ampersand is used to get the address of the variable, and asterisk is used to get the value of the pointer variable. But it will be a separate topic because it's very simple, but it's kind of confusing. Now, if you remember during our college days, in C we used to have C#, we used to have pointers, and this was one of the most confused data type. Hardly, there were people who were able to understand this properly. Understood? So what I'm trying to say is this is a kind of data type which should be understood properly, because there are many languages which uses pointers, like C# is there, Golang is there. Now Golang is very powerful modern day programming language, and there we use the pointers extensively. Sometimes in C# also we use. So we are going to discuss this pointer in coming classes, not today. Okay, but it has to be covered because it is a magic kind of data type. Okay, so these are the part of data types. So today what we are going to talk about is we are going to talk about value data types, and in value data types basically we are going to talk about the predefined value data types. Predefined value data types. And there in predefined value data types, primarily we are going to talk about today is, let's say, there are multiple. Char is there, unsigned char is there, signed char is there. Then you have short is there. Now for short also you have unsigned and signed short. Then you have int. Again for int also you have signed and unsigned. Then you have long. Then we have double. And we have Boolean as well. Okay. So we are going to talk about these things. Okay. One by one we will go and we'll see how we can define different type of data types, such data types. And while going with this, we will be talking about the memory size as well, like how much size of memory it will consume, how big value you can store in such type of data types, what is the meaning of signed and unsigned data type, is this used in development. So those things we are going to talk about it. Okay, so we'll come to the compiler. Somebody was asking what kind of online editor. This is programmist.com. You can just search for online C# editor, editor, you will get this first link. Okay, C# online compiler. Fine. So we'll start with char, or we'll start with int, most used data type, int. Now int, let's say I'll say num is equal to 10 semicolon. So what I'm trying to do here, understand it very carefully now. Before we cover the data types, understanding why we need data types, why we need to create variable is very important. Now take any application in the IT industry, any application. Does not matter what kind of application you are creating, you are developing. It can be a web application, it can be a mobile or application, a backend application, and so on. Now all the application will have two things. One, you will have some values which you will store in a database, isn't it? You are definitely going to have data which you will be storing in a database, isn't it? Yes or no? Simple.
Yes.
Now, from where you will get that data? There has to be some user interface for that, through which you are going to receive the data. Let's say you have created a UI application, a web application, let's say. So your UI is the user interface, which will be used by the end users. Let's take an example of facebook.com. Now you go to facebook.com, you enter your login password and you click on login button and you are able to log in. So primarily your UI will be accepting those data and your backend code will store it somewhere in some variables. So let me tell you one thing. This is very simple and very basic thing which you should understand. Basically, you will have a UI. UI is known as your front end. Okay. Then you will have a backend, and then you will have a DB layer. You can consider DB as a part of backend, but I will segregate right for now. Now your UI, which is your user interface, will interact with the end user, isn't it? So your end user of your application will use the UI of the application. They will not going to, talk, the end user will never go and directly talk with your DB or directly talk to your backend code. No, that's not possible. That will never happen. So your end user will use your front end, your UI, and they will do some actions and they will provide you some data. This data can be in any form. That data can be any type of data. It's not that just a number, string or something. It can be a file, it can be an image and so on. Multiple type of data is possible. Clear? So your UI will process that data and pass it to the backend. The backend code will be written in a language. Let's say it can be written in Java, it can be written in C#, it can be written in Python, it can be written in Golang, it can be written in any other language. Now your UI will be written using HTML, CSS, React.js. Angular is obsoleting, so Angular is no more supported by React, the JavaScript community. So React.js and so on. Backend code will be in any of the other languages. So that backend code will receive the data from front end and it will store it in some variable. And then from backend, a database query will be run. A database query will be triggered. And those variables which are holding those data, from those variables, those data will be passed in a DB query, and that through that DB query, which is triggered by the backend code through some API or something else, it will be stored in the databases. Which means in order to develop any application, you'll have to have some mechanism to hold the data which you are getting from your end user. And then you should have a mechanism to store that data. So to store the data, you need to have database, and to store and to hold the data for some time, you need to store it somewhere. And in programming languages like C#, Java, Python, Golang, where do we store the data? Can anyone tell me, where do we store the data?
In form of variables, arrays.
Yeah, in a variable. We store the data in a variable. Now that variable can be of different type of variable. The variable can be a integer variable, it can be a short, it can be a decimal point variable, let's say float or double, it can be a Boolean, it can be a string, it can be array, it can be a dictionary, it can be set, any type of variable it can be. But if you want to store a value, which you have to, because data is part of any application, you should have to create a variable. Okay. Now what is variable? Variable are nothing but a name to memory allocation. So basically what happens when we will be running our C# code, the values, the variable value will be stored in our memory. We will talk about the memory management in .NET framework in later part of the course, but we need a variable. Now what kind of variable we need? Should we create always integer type of variable to store any type of value? Is that correct statement? Should we always create integer variable irrespective of the type of value? You should always create integer variable. Is that correct statement? Is that a correct understanding? Not at all. Remember one thing, What kind of variable you are going to create depends upon what kind of value you have. Always remember. Okay. Your type, the type of the variable depends upon the type of the value you have. If you have a decimal point value, you'll have to use either float or a double kind of variable. If you have a non-decimal numeric value, let's say 10, 100,000 minus 120, you need a numeric data type like int or char or short, something like that. So always remember, how am I going to create the variable and what should be the type of the variable? The data type of the variable depends upon the type of value I need to store. Clear? Any doubt here? This makes sense? Okay. Okay, so fine. That's cool. No worries. Now let's talk about the int data type today. First of all, int. Now int data types, int data type. So int data type, whenever you create a variable of type int, how much memory will be allocated to that particular variable? 4 byte of memory. 4 byte. Now 1 byte means 8 bits. 1 byte means 8 bits, which means total how many bits of memory will be allocated to a variable of type int? 32 bits. 32 bits. Clear? Clear? Now in our memory, the values, like let's say I create a variable int, a variable, let's say number of type int. Now I have created the variable. I have not assigned any value to it. I have not assigned any value to it. But can you tell me what is the name of my variable here? What is the name of my variable?
Number.
Number. And what is the data type of the variable?
Int.
Int. So can you tell me value type? What kind of value I can store here in this variable? I can
Numeric.
store only non-decimal numeric value. Clear? Non-decimal numeric value I can store in it. And how big value? It's a very big range. You can Google it. Okay, you can Google it. I don't remember the range exactly. It is something like, a very big number. I'm not sure.
32,768, something
I
like that.
think it's very big. You can Google it. I think it's something like 2147483, something like this. Very big range. That will see. Don't worry. You don't need to remember it. But just remember one thing, that in this kind of variable, you can store a non-decimal numeric value. Okay, fine. So again, I'm going to store a value here. Let's say 10. So very simple, very small value I'm storing, and I want to print it. So in C#, if you need to print anything on console, you just have to say console.writeLine, and then let's say number, and you need to run it. Sorry. Just a minute. Okay, so 10 is getting printed. Very simple. Can I store a very big value, something like, let's say, very big value? Let's say I'm storing this much big value. Okay, this big value, and I'm trying to run it. So what are you getting here? cannot implicitly convert type long to int. Now understand it very carefully. This is a huge number that you are trying to store in a integer type of variable. This is a huge number. Now remember one thing, the variable that you have created, the data type of that variable is int. How much memory will be allocated to this variable number? 4 bytes. 4 bytes means 32 bits. Okay, 32 bits. 32 bits will be allocated. Remember one thing, in our memory, in our system, when this value will be stored in our memory, it will not be stored in this form. It will be stored in which form? In which number system? The values are always stored within our system in binary number system. Always binary. So basically this huge number will first get converted into a binary. And definitely that number of bytes there, number of bits there, binary means in the form of 1010. You guys remember in college days we used to learn about binary number system, isn't it? So when you will be converting this into binary, it will be more than 32 bits for sure. For sure. If I try to do it to binary, you can see it is going into the power of base, it's very difficult to convert it. Can you see? Can you count it? It's more than 32 bits. It's more than 32 bits. So that's why the compiler is saying, look buddy, this value is too big. And this value falls in the range of long data type. And if you see the error message here, it says cannot implicitly convert type long to int. An explicit conversion exists. Are you missing a cast? Basically what the compiler is trying to say is like, look buddy, this number that you are trying to store in an integer type of variable, this number is beyond the range of int. Basically it falls into the range of long. So we cannot store a long into int data type. That is not possible. And they cannot cast it. In C# automatic implicit casting is not provided in number. So you'll have to use long data type explicitly. Now if instead of int I use long, I'll be able to store it. Can you see the values getting printed? Now understand this concept very clearly. Understand it very carefully. How? Let me run it again and let me show you the error again. Now understand this error very clearly, and you should be comfortable to answer this to anyone. Understand one thing. When line number 12 will be executed, remember one thing, there is a equal to is there, isn't it? Equal to, isn't it? Remember one thing, whenever you have equal to, which is known as assignment operator, the operator through which you assign value into a variable. Whenever there is an assignment operator in a line of code, in a statement, this is a line of code, this is a statement. So whenever you are having an assignment operator in the statement, always the right hand part will be validated first. Always the right hand part will be executed first. So when the execution went to the right hand side, compiler understood that, okay, this is very big number and it is in the range of long. Fine, that's fine. Okay, that's fine. But when compiler will move to the left hand side, the compiler found that, oops, there is a variable, but the data type of the variable is int, which is not compatible with long. Why is it not compatible? Can you tell me? Why is it not compatible? Why you are not able to store long into int? Because of the size, isn't it? Because you don't have sufficient memory to store the value. I'll take very simple example. Let's say you have a laptop bag with you, okay, a laptop bag, which is capable to store, let's say 15 or 16 inch of laptop in it. which means it is capable of storing that big laptop inside it. Fine. Now let's say I want to store a LED monitor, a monitor inside that laptop bag of size, let's 30 inch. Will I be able to store a 30-inch monitor inside that laptop, which is created to store a 15 or maximum 16-inch laptop? Will that be possible? Will that be possible? No. Why? Why is that not possible? Because the storage that you have is not having enough space to store such big, you can say, article or such big thing, isn't it? Am I correct here? Am I correct here? Yeah. So same rule applies in programming language as well. Whenever you are creating a variable, make sure the variable has sufficient memory to store the value you are trying to store. If the size of the memory allocated to that variable is not enough to store that value, you will get error, compile time error. Because this is not an IDE, if I would have trying this on Visual Studio, I would be getting error at the compile time only. But because this is an online compiler, you are not getting at time of writing the code. But in IDE, in next class, I will show you. That's fine. Clear? This concept is clear. Make sure the type of the value, the size of the value and the data type of the variable are compatible. That is mandatory. Clear? Clear, guys? Yes or no? Clear. Now I'll do one more thing. I'll try to store this 100.25. 100.25. 100.25. Is this compatible? Is this compatible? Tell me. Yes or no?
Yes.
Is this compatible? Can you store 100.25 in an integer variable?
It just removes .25.
Will it? Let me try to run
The
it.
float.
Let me see what you are getting as the output. Okay, see what you are getting. You are getting an error. It says cannot implicitly convert type double to int. An explicit conversion exists. Basically, understand here. I have told you that int is a variable, is a data type which can store only non-decimal numeric value. Only non-decimal numeric value. Inside the int data type, you can store only non-decimal numeric value. But this is a decimal point value, isn't it? So somebody is saying it will round off. Somebody was saying that it will store only 100. That is not correct. It will never happen. Remember one thing, the compiler and runtime engine does not, decide what to do. They just process the code written by the user. They don't have any AI. They don't have decision making power. No, that is not possible. Okay, some case this is possible. That typecasting is possible, but not in case of like in predefined data types. This will not happen. Remember one thing, if you are trying to store a decimal point value in an int data type, you will simply get compile time error. Why? Because int is not created to hold decimal point value. That's it. Here the size is not a problem. Size is fine. 100.25 is not a big value. Here the problem is the type of the value. Let me take one more example. Let's say you have a laptop bag. Can I store water inside that? 1 liter of water? Is that possible? Is that possible? Can you store 1 liter of water inside a laptop bag? Probably no. Because that the water will come out of the laptop bag, because that will not be, most of the bag will not be water resistant. It will be, if bag is flexible, of course. But in general, you can say that is incompatible. Similarly, in C#, decimal point value can never be stored in a integer type of variable. That is not possible. Not because here the problem is not because the value is too big. No, the problem is the type of the value and the type of the variable are not matching. Clear? Okay. So in order to store 100.25 in a variable number, the data type of the variable should be compatible with the value. Int is not compatible. So you'll have to use double. You can use double or you can use float as well. Both are possible. Both are possible. Clear? Any doubt? Tell me. Clear? Fine. Harmeet is saying, I think it used to work in earlier language like C. Am I correct? I'm not sure. I don't remember that. C. Okay. After college, I have not read C at all. So I'm not sure what was happening there. But in language like Java or C#, you will get error. Now Python is fine. Everything is fine in Python. Everything is fine in JavaScript. There is no concept of strong data types. But in Java, in C# you will get error. Clear? Yeah. Now can I use float here? I'll try to use float here. Yeah, I will come to this. What's the difference between float and double? Okay, now I have changed the data type to float. Let me try to run it. Okay. See, literal of type double cannot be implicitly converted to type float. Use F suffix to create a literal of this type. Now understand it. Basically, you have been asked to add F suffix with the literal. What do you mean by literal? What do we mean by literal? Literal means the constant value. Which value is constant here? This value, the value that is there in the right hand side of the assignment operator. This is the literal for us. Now understand it very clearly. Why the compiler is saying me that this is double? If you read the statement again, understand it very carefully. It says literal of type double cannot be implicitly converted to type float, which means this value, the C# compiler is considering this 100.25 as double, not float. Why? Why is it so? Why? Due to precision of the value.
Because there is no suffix of F.
Achha. Let me do one more thing. Let me say now the value is 100.2. 100.2. Now will it give me an error or will get the value printed on the console? What do you say? Same. Okay, let me run it. And let's see. Again, same thing. Okay. Understand very carefully. For C# compiler, any decimal point value will be considered as double by default. And this is applied in Java as well. In Java also this happens. In Java also the decimal point value will always be considered as double. Same in C# also. Because value also have a type. Now, how do you define the data type of the variable? Depend based on the type of the value? Okay, so every value will have a type. So here this decimal point value will also have a type. And in C#, remember one thing, in C#, by default, the type of the data decimal point value will be always double. It will be considered double value. It will always be considered as a double value. Any decimal point value will be considered as a double value. If you want to store a double value in a float, explicitly you'll have to tell compiler, look, compiler, my friend, consider this value as a float. Why do I want to do that? Because float consumes less memory as compared to double. Okay, it consumes less memory, 32-bit only, 4 byte, and double consumes 8 byte of memory. Okay, a double consumes 8 byte of memory, but float consumes 4 byte of memory. So if the value is small, why to have a big memory? Why we are wasting our memory? So if you want to store a decimal point value in a float type of variable, make sure that you are appending a suffix f and run it. Now you're getting printed, no error. Understood my point? Here explicitly I am telling the compiler, look, this value is a float, and that's why I'm able to store it in a float variable. Otherwise I will get error, because if you do not append f, it will be considered as a double value, and double is a big value as compared to float. So you'll not be able to store big value in a small variable. Not possible, not compatible. Clear? Sada Reddy is asking, do we have to have console application to write something in a console, or there is any other way? I did not get your question exactly what you are asking. Can you unmute yourself and can you ask? Okay, fine. Sir, how many classes will take us to learn C#? I mean, how many C# classes will happen? 4, 8 to 10 classes of C#. 8 to 10 classes of C# at least. That is mandatory. Otherwise, if your C# is not clear, you'll not be able to understand Selenium. Okay, great. So I hope this float and double concept is clear. Int and long concept is clear. Okay. Fine. Now let me talk about one more variable, which is one more data type, which is bool. Bool means Boolean. Bool means Boolean. Boolean can store only two type of value. What are those two type of values which you can store in a variable of type Boolean? Can you tell me?
True or false?
True and false. Can we store 1 or 0? Is it possible to store 1 and 0? Let me try that. Now typically 1 means true, 0 means false, isn't it? In digital electronics, if you remember, 1 means true, 0 means false. And I think in C we were able to store 1 in a Boolean variable, if I remember it correctly. Or in Python also you can store 1 and 0 as well. Let's see what happens in C#. Let me try it. So I'll try to print the value of this variable b onto the console, and let's see what happens. Will we get any error? We are getting error. It's saying cannot implicitly convert type into bool. Simple thing. For C#, any numeric value, non-decimal numeric value will be considered as int by default. So for compiler, 1 means integer variable 1, integer value 1. Now you are trying to store int in a Boolean type of variable. Is that possible? The types are not matching, isn't it? Isn't it? Are the types matching here in line number 14? No, not at all. So you cannot store 0 or 1. You'll simply have to say true, or you'll have to say false. Okay. So true and false are a kind of reserve keyword. True and false. So if I run this, you will get a true for B. If I say true, let me see what happens. True does not exist in current context. So remember one thing, true, the Boolean true starts with small letters. Yeah, so now you will get true here printed. And if I change it to false, you will get a false. Okay. Now, if you see in this online compiler, although false always start with small f, here you are getting capital F just because this you are running on online compiler. When we will in the next class, when we will run this on Visual Studio, you will get exactly this false or false starting with f, small f. Is that clear?
So the syntax is bool, not boolean.
Yeah, here the data type name is bool, only bool, not
Okay.
boolean. Like in Java you have boolean, here you have bool only.
Okay.
Okay. Now you have something like short as well, short s. Can you tell me what is short variable? What is the type, what kind of value can you store in a variable of type short?
Integer.
Integer type of value. Integer type of value. Understand it. Short will get 2 byte of memory. Okay, 2 bytes of memory. 2 bytes means how many bits? 16 bits. 16 bits, which means again non-decimal numeric value you can store here also. In short also you can store non-decimal numeric value but a smaller value as compared to integer int. Why? Because the size that you get, the memory allocation for that happens for a short type of variable will be only of 2 bytes. 2 bytes means 16 bits. 16 bits you cannot store a very big value. So for short, I know the range of short. So the range of short is, I remember only for short. The short range is minus 32 768 to 32 767. Only this big value or this small value you can store in a short variable. A value bigger than this you will not be able to store. A value lesser than this you will not be able to store. Only within this range, value of within this range you will be able to store. The reason is again, if let's say you are, I'll show you just a minute. I'll try to store the biggest possible value that can be stored in a short. This is the maximum range of short. I'll try to run it. Oh, I'm not printing it. Let me print. Okay, so the value is getting printed, which means we are able to store this big value. Now let me try to increase the value and let's see what happens. What will happen? Can you tell me? What will happen? Will you get any
Gives an error.
error? Okay, let me see. Constant value, this cannot be converted to a short. Basically now this value is going beyond the range of short. You cannot store it. Now what's the solution for this? Let's say you want to store this value, but you are not able to store it in a short variable. What is the solution now?
Long.
Change it to int.
Yeah, change is to int or long. Why? But better is to use now typecast and change data type. Typecasting will reduce the value. It will change the value. I'll show you. First of all, we'll have to understand the syntax of typecast, which we'll cover in coming classes. But typecast will change the value. Okay, I will show you that time when I will be covering the typecast. The best solution is to change the data type. Basically, you need to increase the size of the memory allocation. Then only you'll be able to store this enough value. Now short does not have the enough memory to store this big value. Then which is the next big variable data type that we have? We have two big data type as compared to short, which is int and long. Tell me which is a better idea. Shall I go with long or shall I go with int? Int. Better is to go with int. Can you tell me why? Can you tell me why? Why not long? Why int only?
It takes less memory.
It takes less memory. Exactly. Save your memory. Memory is the costliest thing in any application. You are paying for memory always. Okay. Whether you are using a cloud service, whether you are having a physical server, whether you are storing anything on your RAM, memory is a costly thing. Do not waste your memory. Always take care of the memory. Try to save your memory as much as possible. Okay. So I hope now you're understanding things. So short is clear to, I think. Let me take one more example. So this is the least value that you can store in a short variable. Okay. Let me try to run it. Okay, so this is getting stored. Fine. Let me make the value much smaller than this, like this. This value is smaller than this, yes or no? This value 32769 is smaller, minus 32769 is smaller than minus 32768, yes or no? Yes. Now let me try to run it. Again, you are not able to do so, because when you will be converting this value in a binary form, you will not be able to fit those number of bits in 16 bits for sure. That's why you are getting error. Again, the solution is to use int. You'll have to increase the size of the memory allocation. So I've increased it to int. Now I'm able to store it. You're getting fine. There is one more type of, so till now what all data type we have read upon? We have talked about int, short, long, float, double, bool. Is there any other data type that you remember? There is one more data type.
There.
Byte. Byte is pending. Let's talk about byte. Let's talk about byte. Okay. And then there is char as well. Okay. Then there is signed and unsigned integer. Signed and unsigned double is there. So we'll talk about that. Okay. Fine. So let's talk about byte now. Byte. Byte is a data type where you can store a non-decimal numeric value. Okay, let me show you one example here. I'll say byte v1 is equal to 10. First of all, remember one thing. Byte data type, how much memory will be allocated? Remember one thing, 1 byte of memory. 1 byte of memory means 8 bits of memory. Okay, 8 bits of memory. Can you tell me the range of byte data type in C#? Can you tell me the range of byte data type in C#? The range of value that you can store in a byte variable in C#. Anyone? Anyone? Okay, I'll show you. Can I store 10? Let me check. I'll say console, I'll copy paste it. V1, let me try to run it. Let's see if we are getting the value or we are getting the error. Let me check it. We are let me remove it. Let me rerun it. Okay, so 10 you are getting 10. Okay, fine. Can I store -10 here? Can I store -10 here? No, yes, let's see.
No, Rahul. It starts from 0.
Okay, understand. It says constant value -10 cannot be converted to byte. Fine. Let's have this as an observation. Now in Java, if any one of you remember in Java, it might be possible that many of you you have never worked on Java. Okay, forget about Java. If I store any value, let's say I'll store 200. Let me see if I'm able to store 200 or not. 200 is possible, fine. Okay. Now let me try to store value 255. Is that possible? Yes, possible. Let me try to store 256. Is that possible? No, you cannot. You cannot. So remember one thing, the range of a byte variable is 0 to 255. Now understand one thing. In C sharp, byte is a unsigned data type. Unsigned data type. Unsigned data type. Unsigned data type means you cannot store negative value in a byte data type variable in C sharp. That is not possible. You can store only value 0 or more than 0 up to 255. Anand is saying, I see its range is bigger than int. No. Int has a bigger range. You just check it. Int will get more memory. It has bigger range. So the range of byte variable is 0 to 255. It is a unsigned integer type data type. Unsigned means you cannot store negative values, signed values, negative values, not possible. Only positive value can store. But I'll show you. If I try to convert 255 I'm not sure how does it work. 255 to binary. Can you tell how many bits are there? How many bits are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. Okay. I have an assignment for you guys. This is going to be the first assignment for you and a very, very interesting assignment. Very interesting assignment. Okay, now here is my assignment for you guys. You'll have to search, you'll have to Google it, find it, tell me the solution or tell me the answer in next class. I'll tell you if you are not able to find it. I'll tell you. Again, I'll repeat it again. How much memory will be allocated to byte? A byte variable, how much memory will be allocated to a byte variable? 8 bits, 1 byte, which means 8 bits. Okay. In Java also, a byte variable will get 1 byte of memory, which means 8 bits of memory. Same size. Okay. But in Java, the range is -128 to 127. This is in Java. But in C sharp, we have range from 0 to 255. One thing I will tell you again, it is an unsigned value data type, means you cannot store value lesser than 0. That's fine. You cannot store value lesser than 0. But why we can store more than 127? Because in Java also you get same memory allocation for byte. In C# also you get same memory allocation for byte 8 bits. Then how bigger value are you able to store in C# but not in Java? Search for this and come with the answer in next class. This is a very interesting thing. You will learn many things there. Just try to search for it. Okay, Google it. Okay, and see what answer you get there. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. So this is all about byte. Okay. Then there is a one more variable which is char. What is char? What is char? What is char? What kind of value can you store in a char data type? Character, single character, isn't it? I'll show you how we can store value in a char data type. The value has to be enclosed within a single quote, and I'll try to print it. Let's see if I'm able to store it or not. Let's see if we get any error. Okay, reduce the value. Okay, so A is getting printed. Can I store capital A? Is that possible? Yes, it is possible. You will get correct answer. Can I store 2 characters within a char data type variable? Is that possible? 2 characters. No. Let's see what happens. Too many character in character literal, that is not possible. Which means if you want to store a value in a char data type variable, you can store only 1 character, and that has to be enclosed with a single quote. Fine. Any doubt? Can I store 0 here? Yes, let's see the answer. 0 you're getting. Okay. One final question. Can I store a 10 here? Or let's say, can I store 100 here? Will that be possible? Yes, no, error, what will happen? Will I get any error? Very interestingly, just see the output. Cannot implicitly convert type int to char. An explicit conversion exists. The variable as is assigned, but its value is never used. That's fine. It's a warning. That's not a problem. This line number 22 is not working. Why is it so? But it will work in Java. Definitely it will work in Java. Can I store it in a single quote? Can I enclose this with a single quote and try running it? Let's see what happens. Too many character in a character literal. That is also not possible. This is not possible in C#. Is it so? Is that possible? Tell me guys, what do you say? Typecast may not. Okay. Fine. So Anand is saying you can type 1 or 0, 9 or 8 with single quote, that will work. Yes. Understand Java and C# have some differences. In Java, this would have been worked. In Java, what will happen? 100 will not be stored. Rather, the ASCII value for this value will be stored in this variable C. I'll show you. Just a minute. Do we have Java compiler? Okay, we have a Java compiler. I'll show you. Char C is equal to 100 system.out.println C. Can you see here? Can you see? What value are you getting here? D. D. It converted D, small d, ASCII value is 100. ASCII code. Okay. So in Java, it is possible. But in C# this will not be possible. So there are few minor differences, but you'll have to bear with it. Okay. You'll have to remember a few things. Okay. Understood? So in char data type, you can store single character and that has to be enclosed within a single quote. Is that clear? Clear? Okay. One very important thing I will tell you about C#. There is a data type uint. Let's say uint. Let's say I'll say num is equal to -100 and I'll try to print it. Okay, I'll try to print it. Let's see the last statement that is getting printed. Let's check about last. What are you getting? The constant -100 cannot be converted to a uint. Now, what is uint? Uint means unsigned integer. Unsigned int. I'll write it here. Uint means unsigned int, where you can store only positive values including 0. Clear? Is that clear? Now it has the range. Is the range same or different? I have one more assignment for you guys.
I think it starts from 0 to
0 to what?
particular int,
Is the
highest
range of
value.
int
Int
and
highest value.
unint same. Read about it. Read about it. I have two assignments for you guys. One is this. I'll write it here. Sorry for today. My system is completely crashed. I cannot open any other application because I don't want to disclose my official things. So just bear only for today. Otherwise, I have written this in some notepad. But anyway, I'll write in the chat. Assignment 1. The question is this. You got the question? Okay. Assignment 2. Assignment 2. In Java and in C#, the memory allocated to a byte is same, which is 1 byte. Then why the range of byte, I'll say the positive, the range, and the question is positive value range is bigger in C# as compared to Java byte data type. Just search for this. This will clear many memory allocation thing in your, many concept will be clear. This is a very important thing. Clear? This is question, just read about it. Now I'll come back to unsigned int. You will while testing, you must have come across this. Sometimes it might be possible, or you might have come across that there are some text field in the UI where the user should be able to store only positive value. The user should not be able to store a negative value. Have you ever come across, or is this possible? This might be possible. There might be an application where there is a text field where the user is not allowed to enter a negative value. Let's say there is a age text field. Age is there. There is a text field age. Okay. There is no validation added to the field. It might be possible that the user is able to enter, let's say, -10. He's yet to be born. Yeah. There is no validation, but you should have some validations there, isn't it? Yes or no? These kind of validation must be there. Like age cannot be negative. It can never be negative. So such kind of validation should be there. Okay. Now let's say you are writing a backend code for that application. You are writing a backend code for that application using C#. Okay. And the same value age, which will be passed through front end, you need to store it in a variable. In order to make sure again in your backend code that this variable should never accept a negative value, how can you handle it? How can you handle it? There are two ways. Either you can use byte, because you are using C#, you can use a byte variable, isn't it? Now the range of byte is 0 to 255. Can you imagine a person nowadays will live more than 255 years? Is that possible? Do you see such kind of scenario? Let's say this is possible. So if not byte, what other data type can we use? What other uint we can use? Unsigned int, isn't it? Are you understanding the use of these unsigned integer data type? Is that getting clear now? Understanding? You will understand everything, because programming language is very simple. Only thing that you need to develop is your logic, and that also I will tell you. It's just that you'll have to practice and understand. Understanding the syntax is my job. I'll make you understand that thing. Understanding the concept is my job. Understanding oops is my job. Understanding the application of that particular thing, concept, is my job. Your job is to build up your logic. Your job is to practice and practice. That is endless. That is a journey which will never end. Clear? But you will understand everything. Fine. There is one more data type. U-long. Okay. There is one more data type which is U-long. Again, U-long is same like uint, where this is nothing but this is unsigned long data type. Okay, its range starts from 0 to something very big. I don't remember. It's too big. You don't need to worry about it. But again, if you have a very long value, very big value, and you want to store only positive big numeric value in that particular variable, and that value is more than the range of uint, which other data type can you use? U-long. Understanding my things. This is very simple. Okay, this you can store, you can run. Okay, I'll print it. I'll try to print it. Okay, you are getting. Can I store a negative value? Is that possible? Let's see it. That will not be possible. You will get the error. Clear? Clear, guys? Understanding? So till now, apart from this, just a minute. Okay. So we have read about byte, short, int. Now in int we have talked about uint as well. In long we have talked about ulong as well. Similarly, there is a short and then u short is also there in C sharp. Okay, again, u short means unsigned short where you can store only values more than 0 including 0 to something bigger than 0. Okay, again only positive values. Okay, its range is around, let's say, is the range of u short is something from 0 to 65, I think 534 or 535, something like that. This is the range. Okay, but you understand the importance of u short, or where you can use u short. Clear? Okay, now for float and double there is no concept like unsigned float or unsigned double. It's straightforward. Okay, for float you don't have unsigned or signed float and double. Sir, if there is alphanumeric ration card is a perfect example. Now alphanumeric value will have numeric value and characters as well. You cannot store alphanumeric value in any of these type of variable. What is the suitable data type for that? String. Yes, Anand, you are correct. Alphanumeric value cannot store in any of these data types. Okay, clear guys? Fine. There is one more data type left. S byte. S byte means signed byte. Signed byte means both positive and negative value can be stored. Clear? The range, now the range is -128 to 127. Got it? Which means the byte available in Java and the S byte data type available on C# are same. I'll show you. S byte. I'll say S byte is equal to -120. Am I able to store it? Am I able to print the value? Let me see. I'll try to print the value of this. We are here. Sorry guys, excuse me. Let's see. Okay, this I'll have to remove. Clear? So, but still the assignments are there. In case of byte, now in C# the byte data type is an unsigned byte data type where you cannot store negative values. Then if the data type is unsigned, why the range increases of that data type? Okay, try to understand it. Google it, go through it, understand it, come with the answer. We will discuss this in next class. Okay, and from next class onward we will start with full-fledged ID, setup, everything. Okay, but we'll continue from here only. So in next class we'll talk about string and many other things. Clear? Loops and all those. What is the last question? I'll tell you the last assignment. Assignment 3. If the data type is unsigned, then how the range increases as compared to the signed data type. Clear question? So you have 3 assignments. Go through it, try to understand and come with the answer. Clear guys? Okay, I hope you enjoyed the session. That is most important. and I hope you understood everything. And once again, sorry for the inconvenience. You had to wait and wait and wait for, I was late by 20 minutes. That will not happen in next class onwards. Okay, assignment 3, here I have pinged now. Yeah, so from next class, so the next class timing will be from Saturday. Next Saturday will start and it will continue from Saturday, Sunday. The timing will be 8 a.m. IST to 10 a.m. IST. Saturday.
Can you please copy paste? Actually, I disconnect, so I can't able to see that assignment.
I'll again paste it. Can anybody do that? It's too long a chat for me. Okay, I found it. So this is everyone. This was okay. This was
Assignment 3, 1 or 2 I have.
Okay, 1, 2 you have. Assignment,
Yeah.
somebody has pinged it. Anand has pinged it.
Yeah, found.
Great. Thank you so much, guys. So I hope you like the session. From next session onwards, we'll have 2-hour session every day, every Saturday, Sunday. And we'll try to finish the C# in 8 to 10 classes with all important concepts covered, with everybody on same page. Okay. Okay. Okay, guys. So I hope this was a fruitful session for you guys. I'll try to keep the same energy in all the coming classes. Okay. Just that, do the assignments, and when I start giving you the coding questions, just do it honestly. And I'll provide you some good resource as well for practice for programming questions, which will enhance your coding skills. That is most important thing. Okay. That's all for today. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining. Take care. Goodbye. Any question anybody have, please ask before I close the meeting. Anybody can ask any kind of question. Anyone? Any doubt? Any query apart from this? Okay, you can ask me any question related to your career guidance. You want to try to, you can take my experience. I'll try to share whatever I have learned in, last 10 years in my industry. I'll try to share all the experience. So you can connect with me. So we'll create a WhatsApp group today. You will be invited to that WhatsApp group. So, we'll have a chat discussion there.
Rahul, next training, the separate link you will be sharing, right?
Yeah, before every meeting you'll be getting the link.
Okay.
Yeah, next training onwards will be the paid training, no?
Yes. So you can purchase the lifetime membership at Way to Automation and you will get access to all the courses.
Live courses, no?
Yeah, live courses and pre-recorded courses.
Yeah.
So there is a lifetime membership. You can enroll to that. Okay. Vipin, where do I stay? Connect me privately. I live in Belendur. Okay.
Belandur. Okay. I am in Martha.
We are near, not far. Okay. Let's see. Let's try to create a group. We'll create a group. We'll create kind of alumni. We'll do meetup. Those things will happen through Way to Automation. Just wait for that. Okay. Everything will happen at Way to Automation. We are planning big things for everyone. Just stay connected to Way to Automation. You will get new courses here. You will get good trainers here. Okay. So thank you guys. We'll meet next Saturday, 8 a.m. So remember the timing. Okay.
Okay. Thank you. Bye.
Take care. Goodbye.